Bureau, focusing on advocating for lineage-based reparations for American freedom. In 2021, Watson played a crucial role in the historic We Want to Live walk alongside Pastor Anthony Williams, where they walked from Chicago to Washington, D.C., calling for violence to be recognized as a public health crisis. Please help me welcome to the stage Marlon Watson.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Dr. and Kelsey. Is she? Where's she? Well, she's around here somewhere, but I just really want to thank her for even considering me for this award. Thanks to everyone else that is contributed, Todd, Nelly, everybody. I just really want to thank you guys for all my friends and family that have come. And as I was putting together what I was going to say, I was gonna mention a story about why I'm serving, why I'm serving. And so everything, even when I don't want to serve, even when I'm tired of serving, I always end up in the space where I'm serving people. And I'm like that for a particular reason. And I was going to tell you guys that when I was young, my parents, my mom and my father in particular, whenever I'd have to do things around the house. Whenever I'd have to cut the grass in my house, he would make me cut the grass next door. Or whenever I had to clean the curb on my side of the street, he'd make me go across the street and clean that curb. And I was going to mention a lady we grew up with, or a family we grew up with, the Corneys, Mr. and Mrs. Corney, who had adopted several children and we became best friends with their kids. And Mr. Corney passed when we were young. And so me and my dad and my brother, who was here as well, we would often go to Mrs. Corney's home and help her with whatever it is she needed. I was going to mention to you guys that that's why I'm like I am. And lo and behold, my mother invited Mrs. Corney. When I got here, I heard her voice, and I said, I recognize that voice anywhere. And it was Miss Corney. Unfortunately, she had to leave, but it was a pleasant surprise that she was here. And I really want to ask you guys, one of my, goals in life was to make my parents proud of me. None of my, moms are typically just proud of their children. As long as they ain't doing nothing crazy, as long as they ain't killing nobody, you're not going to be proud. But our fathers want us to do stuff. They typically have goals they want you to accomplish. So one of my big things is I always want to make my father proud. So I hope that this award does that and makes my father proud. And I ask you guys to do me a big favor. Both my parents are here, my mom and my dad. Can you guys stand up, please? That's my that is why I'm making that's why I said because I was raised and I was taught. And so I guess part of my claim to fame, I guess if you will, or my public profile, if I can call it that, is my fight for reparations. And so I'll talk about that for another 60 seconds, and I'll say. My bio mentioned that I'm the president of the Chicago Freedmen's Bureau. I consider myself an American freedman. And I'm going to give you the office address. For those that may not know, the year 1865 is a particular year, a very peculiar year. That's the year of emancipation. The office of the Chicago Freedmen's Bureau, and this wasn't on purpose, but the office address is 1865 East 71st Street. Wow. Won't he do it? And we were securing the leads, again, I did not recognize that this was the address. And as we were securing the leads, one of our partners said, do you know the address is 1865? And I said, yeah, I know that. Yeah. I did not know that. I did not know that. So, but American freedom is an identity that I take on. It was the identity that our ancestors who were enslaved, they were given that identity. And it's an international term. So those of us who were enslaved, or our ancestors were enslaved in this country, our status is freedom, American freedom. Those who were enslaved in Haiti or Jamaica, their status is Haitian freedom or Jamaican freedom. And so in the fight for reparations, one of the flaws, in my opinion, and in those of us who identify as freedmen, is we've been fighting it for a particular race, for black people, for African Americans. Well, the problem with that is once America used race to capture wealth to a particular part of the population, they then made it illegal to do anything based on race. So I can't do legislation for black people, or white people, or Asian, because those are considered racist. But as an American freedman, that's the status. Completely different. And it totally changes the game. And so it's that identity, it's that political identity that makes the difference in the fight for reparations. And as I close, I'm gonna try to drive that point home and tell you guys a story. There's a story about a guy named Bob Friedman. Bob Friedman worked at FedEx. And Bob was crazy about this girl named Sue. And one day, Bob actually got the courage to ask Sue out. And he said, Sue, I've worked around you for a few years. I'm crazy about you. And if you just give me just once to take you out, just one time, I promise you won't regret it. And Sue said, very candidly, she said, Bob, it's a no for me, Bob. And she said, Bob, I'm gonna tell you why. She said, Bob, because first of all, I like taller guys, Bob. You're a couple inches too short. And she said, Bob, secondly, the way you dress. I don't like the way you dress. And lastly, she said, Bob, your car, you have an old, outdated car. If you can change those things, I give you a chance.
Wow.
So Bob left work and he went to the store immediately, bought a $2,000 suit, got it tailored to fit. Bob went and got some of those shoes that made him a couple inches higher, got some of those stacks and became 3 inches higher instantly. And then Bob went and rented a brand new Corvette. So Bob put on his suit, put on his shoes, got himself a little bit taller, went and got a bouquet of flowers, and Bob looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize himself. So Bob jumped into his Corvette, drove over to Sue's house, got to her front door, and right as he was about to ring the doorbell, boom! Bob got struck by lightning. And Bob died. And when Bob got to heaven, Bob said, God, I went through all of this just to date this girl, and you struck me dead right now? Why now? And God looked, he said, who are you? God said, it's me, Bob Friedman from UPS. God put his glasses on, and he said, oh. He said, Bob, I didn't even recognize you. What am I trying to say? I'm saying as we fight for reparations for American freedmen, we can't use race. We have to use the identity that we're recognized by our federal government, and that's American freedom. Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Oh, he's on that thing.